I'm assuming I'm going to intro myself.
I'll give you the soft spot. Go for it.
Okay. Hi, guys. Good afternoon. I'm Tina Essmaker. I'm a New York-based coach, writer, and speaker. And I'm also co-founder and former editor-in-chief of the Great Discontent magazine, for which I interviewed more than 250 creative individuals.
Yes. Building on that, you're an accomplished designer.
And I would love to be in your shoes interviewing people, actually. But I'm happy to be interviewed.
Okay, outstanding.
Well,
we could just add another day onto the conference. It'd be great. Now, you're an accomplished designer in your own right, hands down, no question. You had a pretty significant career transition. Mm-hmm. Would you like to quickly walk us through that?
Yeah, so just to give context for the work I do now as a coach, I'm mainly working with creatives, and my background is in social work. I worked with runaway and homeless youth in my home state of Michigan for about 10 years. And then my former partner and I co-founded the Great Discontent magazine, and I was editor-in-chief of that for about 6 years. And then, life happens, and what happened was my marriage ended, and I was married to my life partner and my business partner, and I had to decide what was next. And I knew that I wanted to move on from the magazine because I really wanted my own identity, and I wanted to understand what my own contribution to the world was outside of this project that was so closely tied to my partnership. And I didn't know what I was going to do, so I just did some freelance work to pay the bills for a little bit, some content strategy, copywriting, and this coaching idea came up. And one day I was speaking with a friend, and he said, I'm working with a life coach. He's awesome, but he doesn't understand the creative world in which I work. And I said, aha, I've been interviewing creatives for 6 years through my work with The Great Discontent. And I looked up coaching programs, and a week later I had signed up for one. A month later I went and got trained, and I used my social work background and my training as a coach now to work with that same creative community that I was working with through the magazine. Now I'm working with that community to help people create change in their own lives and give them practical tools, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. What are some of the themes that are coming up in your coaching?
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that I think about for myself, because coaches are in process too, and we're working on the same things. And a lot of things that I think about and talk about with my clients, everything from feeling inadequate, feeling tension between work and personal life. Some people call it work-life balance. I like to think about it as work-life fulfillment, because balance implies that things are 50-50, and that's not always what you need to feel fulfilled. I think about this idea of this magical thinking where sometimes we want to just quit our job and run away from our life because we think that's the answer. Go to Bali, become a yoga instructor. Now, if you want to do that, or if you've done that and it's worked for you, that's great. Most of us don't have the luxury of doing that. I certainly didn't. And so it's about creating change where you're at, and how can you make small changes that really create momentum in your life and add up. And sometimes it's about changing yourself first.
Okay, which is always the hardest thing.
Yeah, the hardest.
I want to build a little bit on that work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes I agree with Debbie Millman when she's just like, your work is your calling, this is what you do.
Sure.
And sometimes I feel like I don't spend enough time with the people I care about. Like right now, I really miss my girls. I've been away for a couple days, but what's your perspective on how to approach that and how to figure out your happy place?
Yeah, so how do you approach work-life balance? Well, I think, first of all, we get stuck in a routine. So whatever your day-to-day is, you just get stuck in it, right? You feel like the little hamster on the wheel, and you feel out of control. And when you feel out of control and you start thinking, I have no choice, you start outsourcing responsibility for your life to someone or something out there. So it's really important to make some time on your calendar. I would encourage all of you to pull out your calendar, not right now, but when you have a moment, and find an hour in your week, next week, and set aside an hour for yourself and think about some of these things. Like, what does my ideal day look like? How do I want to feel as I move through my day? Like, how many of you would put, I want to feel rushed, hurried, stressed, overwhelmed, and chaotic, right? No, we want to feel a sense of ease. We want to feel excited. We want to feel engaged, connected. We want to feel like we're making a valuable contribution to our team and our work, right? So how do you feel in your current day? What does your current day look like? How do you want to feel? Mm-hmm. And then, often one is here and one is here, and you have to make a little bridge across, right, to get to where you want to be. So that's a lot of the work that I do one-on-one with my coaching clients. So I can't give you a step-by-step, but I can say, if your ideal day is to be home at 6 p.m. for dinner with your daughters every day, then you have to find a way to do that for yourself.
Okay. Very simple strategy to be like, all right, figure out what your goal is, and just activate against it in whatever small way that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Any other tools or any other strategies you could share with the audience?
Yeah, so some really basic, a couple basic things that I work with on coaching clients, usually in the first few sessions. If you imagine your life as a coffee mug, who in here likes to drink coffee or tea? Probably everybody. Probably had coffee this morning. So say you have a little mug and you're like, get your coffee just the way you like it, with some cream and sugar, and there are a bunch of cracks in the mug. So the coffee is coming out of the mug, it's spilling everywhere. That's your energy. That's you. And you can, a lot of you, I'm assuming, are in design, you're visual. You could draw that little coffee mug on a sketch pad, and you could label those cracks, right? Where is your energy being drained? So many times we don't have energy for the things that we want to have energy for because there are things draining our energy. So there are some things you can do with those cracks, right? You can just keep drinking the coffee with the coffee pouring out of the cracks in the mug, and you're gonna have the same results. Or you could say, okay, this is a thing I can take care of. This is a thing I can delegate. This is a thing I can just forget about altogether. So along with the coffee mug analogy, there's this idea. It's very simple. I didn't make it up. It's just it's a coaching technique, and it's called incompletions. And so if you sit down and you think about all the things in your life that feel incomplete, it could be that light bulb that I've been needing to change for 6 months, right? It could be a relationship that there needs to be some resolution for you to feel like you're on good terms with that person. There are a lot of incompletions in our life, and those are also things that drain us of energy, and even if we're not thinking about them, right? And so that's another thing you can do. You can make a list of all the things that feel incomplete, and then you can make a plan for each item. What are you going to do about it? Maybe you just cross it off and decide to forget about it. Maybe you delegate it. Maybe you have another resource you can use to address it. And so the point is that we show up to work as whole human beings. We don't compartmentalize and say, I'm going to take my work self to work now, right? We take our whole self to work, and that includes things that are going on personally with our families and relationships and friends, and our desires and our passions and the things that, the hopes and dreams we have for ourselves. We bring all of that to work. So we need to address all of that to really be able to show up to our work and feel like we're contributing in a valuable way.
I love how you're framing this, and I know you were talking about the things that maybe like missing or absent, or how to address them. Mm-hmm. What's on the other end of that? Like, how does gratitude or the happiness help us reframe and make us be more positive at what we're doing?
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of talk right now about mindfulness, gratitude, meditation, and I was one of those people that was like, I don't want to make a list of what I'm grateful for. Because when I was going through this really big life change, right, when I was going through a divorce and making a plan to transition out of a business that I co-founded and grew and really loved, I thought, what do I even have to be grateful for? I felt like I was losing so much, right? But the thing is that we do all have things to be grateful for, and I started making lists in my journal on a regular basis. Like, they were so simple. It was like, I'm alive. I have 3 friends that really care about me, and if I needed to call them on the phone right now, they would pick up, right? It was really, really simple, just starting where I was at. But the thing is that we shape our worldview through what we focus on, and when we're focused on what we're missing, what we're lacking, what we don't have, what other people have that we want, those are the things that we see. It's like when you buy a certain type of car and then all of a sudden you see that car on the road everywhere. Like, it was already there. You're just focused on it now. And when we start to focus on what we have to be grateful for, what opportunities exist, what kind of life do I want to create for myself, that gives us something to focus on, and it can shift our perspective and the way we see the world and the way we show up in our lives and to our work.
Nice. Tim earlier spoke about the ideas of like the soft skills to have on the resume to get the job and what have you. In your experience of working with creative leaders, what are what are your skills that you think help them be exceptional creative leaders? Like the mental stuff, the mindfulness things. What are some things that help creative leaders just thrive and be more successful?
Yeah. Well, I think anyone who's a leader, whether they consider themselves creative or not, well, I think we're all creative. I'll just say that. I think that listening, really like listening to understand and being able to employ empathy in our work is really valuable. Just what Jen was saying, this understanding that we're all humans and we all show up to work as people. And if you're a leader, you need to be able to put yourself in someone else's. You don't have to agree with their perspective, right? Empathy doesn't mean you agree with their perspective or their opinions. It just means that you're attempting to understand where they come from. Does that?
I think so.
Answer?
I'm hearing you say like being self-aware, being having good mindfulness, like listening, authentic leadership. A lot of these qualities which has helped develop. So I think that's good. Sometimes we, I know I have trouble seeing that. What do you do with clients who are stuck in like a behavioral loop, or just who can't get out of the my life sucks today?
Yeah. Don't we all feel like that sometimes? Oh, my life sucks today.
Like I suck. Like big one for me is like I feel like a fraud. I have imposter syndrome all the time.
Okay, who in here feels like a fraud? Yes, all of us. We all feel like that, especially. So when you're working it's not like becoming a doctor or an attorney, right? You don't go to school, take your exam, get licensed, and start practicing. Creative professions have wildly varied trajectories. You could literally make it up and say, I'm this and this is the work I do, and someone would say, cool, tell me more about it. So I think we all feel like frauds, even if we go to school, but many of us are self-taught. So behavioral loop, I got on a little tangent there.
We're good.
Behavioral loop, I think that it starts with awareness. And it starts with taking responsibility for your own life and understanding that at the end of the day, we like to think that we can't change, and we like to think that, we say things like, I have to do this, I should do this. But what do you want to do? So I think it's starting with awareness and then going from there.
Okay. What do you do to recharge?
What do I do to recharge? Well, I have a book recommendation for you guys.
Oh, cool.
I'm reading, I read a lot, and so if you want book recommendations, follow me on Instagram. It's just my name, Tina Essmaker. I'm reading a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport.
Has
anyone? Yeah?
It's a good one. Yeah, but you should tell them about it.
It's amazing, and so it's this idea that we can't do the most important work that you're here to do. Think about it. What is the most important work that you're here to do? Is it to answer email? Is it to have meetings? Is it to take calls? No, it's probably not any of those. That's shallow work, and it's work that distracts us from the deeper work that we are here to do. So deep work is, periods of uninterrupted time where you can really get into flow. Has anyone ever been, you experience that flow where you almost transcend, you just lose sight of everything around you, and then the phone rings, or you're like, oh shoot, I have a meeting in 5 minutes. That's the worst. So deep work is all about creating an environment where you can get into that flow. And I was reading it and I thought, I really like the way my typical work week goes, but day to day I need more time to do deep work. And so I made a list 2 weeks ago, and I've started doing some of these things. So what do I do to recharge? Well, first of all, I'm shutting my computer down at the end of the day now, so I can't just walk by and pop on and say, I'm going to check email. I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb and charging it away from my desk when I'm doing deep work. I'm spending more time in nature, and I've been putting this off. I've been saying for months I'm going to do this, but I'm actually going to do this. You guys should all keep me accountable. Just check in with me on Twitter. I'm going to spend 1 day a month with no screens, just totally unplugged, and I'm going to do something for myself.
Good luck doing it in New York.
Yeah, I'm going to have to print out Google Maps if I'm going to go anywhere, and I'll do it. And then so with my coaching practice, if there's a 5th week of the month, I don't take calls. So any month with 5 weeks, I'm going to take that 5th week to just kind of unplug and work on a personal project. So a few things I'm doing.
That's awesome. Great strategies, great insights.
Yeah.
Any questions from the audience?
So, there's a lot of talk about personal branding and that kind of thing, and people are fairly sophisticated at it these days. But I'm one of those people who hasn't developed a personal brand. and I don't think I have one. Because I don't think I've dedicated enough thought to it, what that is. I think, so my question would be, what advice would you have for me?
Yeah. Well, you do have a personal brand. You just haven't uncovered it yet. It's
Okay.
there. We all, whether we think we have a personal brand or not, we do. It's how you move through the world. It's the things you care about. It's how you interface with people. It's how you portray yourself online if you're on social media. So one of the things, I have a lot of clients that come to me and say, I don't know what I stand for. I don't know what I care about. I don't know what I bring to the work. I feel like I'm just trying to be who employers want me to be, or I'm just trying to be who my family wants me to be. So I would say I ask people to start with their values. So really exploring like, what are the things you care about? What are the things that you value? And how do those manifest in your life? So what are the things that are most important to you? And then, also another a little exercise that I ask people to do is called finding your North Star. So really it's stars, because there's more than one. But if you think about all the areas of your life, right? Your work life, your personal life, your relationships, what do you need in each of those areas to feel fulfilled? Or what words do you want each of those areas to embody, right? So, for example, in my work life, one of my North Stars is development, which means to me that I really love working one-on-one with people. I like helping them uncover their potential, and that's something that I need to be doing in my work in order to feel fulfilled. Does that give you some?
Yeah.
Cool.
One more quick one.
So I feel like this could probably be solved by meditation or mindfulness, but there's like a lot of voices sometimes, and like we're our own worst enemy at times. Like you should do this, you shouldn't, and like what practices have you like taught people and learned to trust themselves more and like their direction? Because I feel like the gut and the heart and the mind are all sometimes at odds with each other.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, I had a mentor one time tell me let me reword that. She said to me, don't should on yourself. So I'm going to tell you guys, don't should on yourselves. Don't say I
Someone
should.
please tweet
Don't
that.
say I. And I
But
can't
it's
even
good.
take credit for it, but it's so good, right? Because how many times, like, whose should is it? Is it if it's yours because it's something you really want to do it.
Yeah.
If it's a family, if it's a teacher, if it's a friend. So uncovering your own voice, we're always going to have other voices in our head of culture, people, family, people that we feel the need to impress or feel the need to meet. We don't want to disappoint them, right? There are expectations. So, or even our own inner critic, right? That's the worst. You're an imposter, you suck at this, why don't you just quit your job? I think it's fine to say, hey, look, inner critic, thank you for showing up, but I don't need your help right now. I've got this. So why don't you go away? You can come back later. You can acknowledge that voice because it's not going to just go away. And you have to understand that it's going to be there. You're going to have those feelings. But that's probably on a bad day, right? How do you feel on your best day? When things are going well and you feel like I'm connected to the work, it's meaningful, I'm feeling valued, right? So just knowing that also in creative fields, like, it's like this. It's a roller coaster, right? Like some days we're up, sometimes we're down, and that's okay. It's going to be like that. So know that it's going to change. And then also what he was asking, if you know what your values are, and you know what your North Stars are, and you know what you need to be fulfilled, those are the things that can guide you. So when you're trying to make decisions, it's a combination of what is my compass, right? So my values and my North Stars, those are my compass that guide me. And then how am I feeling about the decision? We've all had to make decisions in our lives before where in our body, we know it's the wrong decision. And what I mean by that is we just have this awful feeling in the pit of our stomach, like, I cannot take that job, or that client is going to be a handful, and then we take it because we want the money, and then we go, oh, I should have listened to my gut. So listen to your gut, and it's just practice. Like the more you make decisions, like every decision we make gives us feedback, and then we can make another decision. It's very rarely the end of the world, right? There are very few decisions that are the end of the world. So make a decision, gather more information, and then you can make another decision if that one doesn't work. Is that helpful?
Yes,
Good.
thank you.
Tina, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.